Hello everyone! In this tutorial series I will be showing you how you can put button sounds on your menu screen on Unity 3D while using the Wwise integration. So first let's see how this menu screen works, and then I will show you how I set it up. As you can hear, there is a background music, and then when I click on these colored circles, you're going to hear a guitar harmonics triggered. If I click on anywhere else, you're not hearing anything, but if I click on these, we have randomized harmonics that are being triggered from Wwise. The same goes for this begin button, which transitions us from the menu screen to the level screen. Let's see how we can set something similar up. First, you're going to need an empty game object, which you can put your play button sound script, which is going to trigger the Wwise event that you want to post. Let's create a new game object and name it play button. And let's uncheck this and deactivate it so we can see how we can set it up from scratch. So naturally, the first thing you want to do is putting a script to trigger the events from Wwise. For this, I already have a script set up, so I'm just going to add that using the add component on Unity 3D. Let's take a look at inside the script. As you can see, I have a very basic function which says when I click on my mouse button, do this, which is use AkSoundEngine, Audio Kinetic Sound Engine, and PostEvent string name that you use for that event, which I use an event called tree branch. And then post this event to the game object that the script is attached to. Now, if you're not very familiar with scripting and Unity 3D, do not be alarmed. This is all you need to write if you want to trigger an event with onClick. You can, of course, change this command to other keystrokes, etc. But the gist of it is this: posting the event tree branch on this game object using the Audio Kinetic Sound Engine. So let's see how this is set up on Wwise. Inside Wwise, I created an event called tree branch in the events. Let's set this up from scratch. What this tree branch event does, as you can set from here, what this tree branch event does is triggering this random container which has 5 different guitar harmonics inside of it. We can see this is playing randomly with a shuffle and is playing on step, which means when I trigger it once, it's going to play once and then stop until I trigger it again. If I use continuous, it's going to keep playing until it hits the end of the list, or loop, depending on what you choose here. But if I use step, it's just going to play once and then stop. So let's see. Stop, stop, etc. So now whenever I post the event tree branch, it's just going to play this random container and one of these 5 guitar harmonics. Now we have our script set up. Well, we also need to put our event from the Wwise speaker to this game object. We don't need it to be environment aware because it's on the menu screen and it's a 2D screen. And we don't want it to trigger on start because if you choose this, it's going to trigger just when the game starts and then it's not going to trigger again. if we don't choose anything else. Instead, we want to untick this, and then trigger mouse down is what you should choose for it to trigger whenever you press it. The final step we need to do to implement this, choose the button sound in here, button sound object. And when you first create a button, you're going to see this button script like this. Now, I don't want any color tint, etc. transitions, so I'm choosing none for this. And this is the part that is our concern. This basically allows you to call other functions when you press on the button, when you interact with the button. So to this list, I'm adding an item. And now what I want to do is drag and drop this play button game object that I just created, which has my script and my event on it. And then from here, you want to choose the function that you just wrote, which is the void onClick, which posts our event on Wwise. And as you can hear, it's working perfectly. Now we're going to see if the other buttons will work. This works. However, there isn't anything here because I deleted the items from this list. Instead, what I can do is I can put these again, and same goes here. Of course, you can also duplicate the buttons once you have them set up the way you want them. As you can hear, the button sounds are working correctly right now. So, to recap, first you need to create an empty game object, then put your script on that object, which calls for the AkSoundEngine, the post event that you're using inside Wwise. And then you need to drag and drop your event from the Wwise speaker to here and choose the correct triggering option with the correct event name. And then you need to create buttons using the UI button object here and put this on click list, your object, and then the correct function that is attached to that object. And in the second part of this menu tutorial series, we're going to check how we can use RTPCs and Wwise to transition from the menu screen to our level screen. Thanks for watching.